You're now watching Barber World TV. I'm your host, International Zoe. We're here in Cartagena, Colombia at Gastro Bar. I'm with Ernest, the owner. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. How you doing
Good.
today?
I met Ernest on the beach, at Hollywood Beach. I think I was introduced to you by Tony.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I
so,
told
yeah.
Tony at the beach. Yeah.
And I seen him doing great promotion. They got beautiful ladies there, passing out flyers, promoting his business. That's not something you usually would see here in Cartagena. So, where you from, Ernest?
I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I went to North Carolina A&T State University,
Mhm.
and quite some time ago.
Yeah,
So
Tar Heel.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
they
yeah.
call
Well, no, we're Aggies.
Agus.
Yeah,
Okay,
Aggies, North Carolina A&T Aggies.
okay, Agus.
Yeah, historically black college.
Okay. Um, what's it like, North Carolina? I mean, I visited, but like, what's the culture like, North Carolina?
North Carolina. Well,
Talk up a little bit.
I
Just get.
I come from a small town.
Okay.
Greensboro is in between Raleigh and Charlotte.
Okay.
And
Those are the two most
right,
popular ones.
the most
Greensboro's like third.
Yeah,
Okay.
Greensboro's the third. Uh, like I said, one of the things about Greensboro is a college town.
Hmm.
North Carolina A&T State University, UNCG, and a few other schools. So it is known for that being a college town.
Right.
That's most of the culture is more of the universities there.
Hmm.
Uh, Not a big city, so climate's good. Summertime. You've got good weather. The wintertime doesn't get really below about 20 degrees or
Right.
something like that in the dead of the winter. So it's not like northern temperatures.
In Greensboro, do you get a lot of people coming from other states because it's a college town?
You do. You
Okay.
get an influx of people coming from all over, mostly the East Coast.
East Coast, right?
And quite often, once they finish school, they typically stay in North Carolina, whether it's Greensboro, whether it's Raleigh or Charlotte. But you get a lot of people from other areas that are attracted to not just Greensboro, but also other parts of North
Hmm.
Carolina. You got University of North Carolina, Duke University, things of that nature. But in terms of, I'd say African Americans, Greensboro has a huge draw because we have the largest historically black university in the United States.
Hmm. And why do you think they stay? Is it what do people usually go there to study? Is it they get jobs when they come out to stay there? Like, what is it?
In some cases, yes, but I think what happens is that they become comfortable with North Carolina at that point. Maybe I've seen a lot of cases, people come from bigger cities, they feel it's a little slow from the beginning, but typically they don't go back to where they're from. Typically they stay in either Greensboro or, as I said, a lot of people are migrating towards Charlotte, North Carolina. So in some cases, Atlanta,
Hmm.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
North Carolina, the home of Pepsi, Krispy Kreme. They got there's quite a few brands that are out of there.
Oh yeah,
One of them pickle companies out of North Carolina.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, with Krispy Kreme, uh, at the time they only had two Krispy Kremes in the world when I was a kid. So I know about that. Never thought it would grow up to that level.
Yeah. You pretty healthy to come out of the town with Krispy Kremes.
Yeah,
those are hell of sugar donuts.
you know it. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what did you go to school? What did you study in school?
Well, I had a double major. I studied architecture, engineering, and business. And that was at the time, architecture engineering was the only 5-year major at A&T. So it pretty much took 6 years to complete everything.
Mhm.
But it was a double major that I had.
Right. And once you graduated, did you get start working in architecture or business?
No, no.
Where did it lead you to?
Well, initially, I'll tell you a little quick story about that. While I was in school, I co-op for HUD, Housing and Urban Development.
Okay.
And I took a year out of school to co-op and work for them. And I learned quickly that working for someone else was not for me. My father was a contractor, so that's kind of what interested me from the beginning in architecture.
Right.
And he worked real hard every day. I didn't particularly like that either.
Yeah.
But I did like the fact that he was self-employed. And I saw things, honestly, when I co-opted with the government that let me know that working for someone else was not going to be for me. I saw things that my boss, for example, he came to work early. He left late. He was a black man, and he was the only black man in management in that particular time. Promotion came up for him to be the head of the entire house and urban development in Greensboro. He was definitely more qualified, working hard. He had everything he needed. He knew he was going to get that job. When the time came up, they gave it to someone else. And I watched that situation unfold. I watched how the other people in the office treated him. And I just realized that I need to do something where I kind of control those things myself.
Yeah. Sometimes you have those instances in life where you can pinpoint and remember that you want to work for yourself.
Yeah.
I definitely had one of those, so I know what you're saying. Okay, so you graduated college, and you took that 1 year off. What did you do when you graduated? What did you decide to do? Was it right away entrepreneurial?
Well, actually, I started before I even finished school.
Okay.
I started because I was just at heart naturally an entrepreneur. And I remember sitting in the barbershop one day and listening to these guys talk about they were able to go buy automobiles at auctions for $500 and government seized things. And it got my attention. I had to do some research. I found out about it. What they were saying was not all factual, but it allowed me to get involved in the car business. And with the help of my parents, who were very supportive of me through anything I wanted to do, gave me an opportunity to get a business loan at an age of probably 20, 21 years of age. Obviously with them co-signing.
Right.
But not a lot of money, a little bit of money, and I started buying automobiles. I started selling them and making money. This is while I'm in school. So it got to a point where I knew at that point that I needed to develop a business. I got my first car lot. Within 3 or 4 years, I had 4. I had in Martinsville, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and 2 in Greensboro. And
4 lots.
yeah, 4
Okay.
lots. And by the age of, I would say by the age of 27, I had 4 cars.
Right.
And I was doing very well with that business. Something happened at that point. The banking system changed. I was able to do, I had good banking connections, to get any kind of finance that I wanted, which you need that in the automobile.
Of course.
Yeah, and the banking system changed. At that point, I said, I'm going to take my business and take my money out, sell my businesses, and I'm going to get into something else. Yeah, I remember visiting Atlanta, Georgia. There, I can't think of the name, right? Harrison's is the name of it. It was a kind of a lounge and bar and restaurant.
Okay.
Really nice black.
Well, what year was this?
I would say probably at least 25 years ago, maybe
25 years.
something like that.
Like 96, 97.
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
97, yeah.
And when I visited their bar, I was impressed. It was my first real experience of seeing a restaurant, a bar, that sort of thing that was owned and operated by black men.
Right.
And they were doing it at a level that was exciting to me. These guys took me in, they showed me their whole business, how they operated, and all this sort of thing. And I knew at that point, this is what I wanted to do.
That's interesting that you could, yeah, some people have that innate thing where they see it, they know it, and they're sure. Did you have any doubts at all, or you were just like, no, this is it?
Well, the thing about it, you know, being a young man, you feel like you're kind of untouchable. If I want to do something, it's not a question of whether to be successful or not. It's just, I'm going to do it.
But even though as a young man, has that changed?
Well, I've gotten smart. I realized.
Smart, okay.
I realized that it's just not that easy. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, the drive and confidence to do things is still there.
Yeah, the drive and the confidence to do things.
Right.
I mean, I'm a little more selective. I don't just jump out here and try anything. Right.
So, after the car dealership, you did open the. Did you open the bar lounge?
Yeah, I wasn't able to duplicate what they were doing. And one of the important things I learned is that the model I looked at was in Atlanta, Georgia. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina. You have to be realistic about these things and realize you don't have the same market that they have.
Right.
So I was able to secure a location, and I went into business, opened up a nightclub. And,
The name of that nightclub?
Sensation.
Sensation.
That was the first business of that type I had. I have a
In
lot of
Greensboro,
ideas.
North Carolina.
Greensboro,
Okay.
North Carolina.
Okay.
And I had a lot of ideas, and I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't have anyone to mentor me or to help me learn about these things along the way.
This is very important.
Yeah. So I did learn a lot in a short period of time. I made good money from the beginning, but due to a lot of things that were out of my control, business only lasted about 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens then? This is maybe like 99, 2000.
Yeah.
What's your next venture from there?
Well, I don't know at that point. I'm still trying to figure things
Okay.
out. At this point, I'm out of the car business.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm out of the nightclub business.
Right.
I do have some resources, so I'm trying to figure out my next move. Like a lot of people do, because I live in a fairly small city, I said, okay, well, I'm free from most obligations now. I'm going to move to Atlanta. So I packed up, got an apartment in Atlanta, and I didn't want to go without having a regular job. What I was doing actually was marketing on the internet. One of the things I had been able to do while I was in the nightclub business, I was able to begin to get information about marketing and promotions and things like that. And I was also able to begin to develop email addresses, collect
Okay. Collector, yeah.
other people weren't
A
doing
mailing
it.
list.
This was at the beginning stages of this.
Right.
So by me having a bar nightclub business and still doing certain bar events, like special events,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to actually do my own events privately as well as market for other people and make money doing that. So when I moved to Atlanta, I took a job for Honda because I had a background in the car business.
Right.
And just to have a job.
Yeah.
It took me 30 days to realize I can't.
What's an entrepreneur? Always an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I mean, truly. Yeah. Okay, so you work 30 days, you quit. What's the next move?
Well, some friends of mine were opening up a nightclub in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
And at that point, I stayed in Atlanta for about a year. And I realized I better get out of here. For real. Because imagine this, imagine that you're able to make money by doing your special events at home, maybe once or twice a month.
Right.
I'm online, I'm making money advertising events for other people. But my days and my nights are free. And I'm a young man in Atlanta, and it's a lot to do.
Atlanta was popping early.
Oh, yeah.
Early 2000.
So at that point, I realized if I'm really going to accomplish my goals, I got to get out of here.
Okay.
So my buddies opened up a place, really nice bar and nightclub in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
And they didn't have much experience in it. So they wanted me to come and help them with that. So I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and started helping them. I helped them for maybe a year or so there until I got another opportunity back in Greensboro. My opportunity there was also another friend of mine had a bar and nightclub. And because I had so much experience in the business, they all wanted my help in that.
Right.
I helped them for a couple of
Like
years.
a consultant, basically.
It's pretty much, but I was doing a lot more than that.
Okay.
I was pretty much teaching them
Mentoring
the entire business.
and consult.
Yeah. And after a couple more years, I had an opportunity to get my own place. It was just a matter of timing. You have to be at the right place, the right time, and you have to be prepared with the resources.
When preparation meets opportunity, that's when you have your luck. That's what they say.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. So I got involved and I made a deal with a guy who had a really beautiful establishment called Toscana in Greensboro. And he wasn't having much success with it. So I bought into the business. I bought 50% of the business. I ended up buying the whole business. But I bought into 50% from the beginning, turned that thing around, started making money. Bar, nightclub, restaurant. All along, family business was real estate. So we had rental properties that were long-term rentals and things of that nature.
Right.
I didn't do much with them. I did some of the management and maintenance of it, just
Okay.
making sure family business was taken care of.
Right.
But my expertise was in the bar, restaurant, nightclub.
Right. So, what led you to traveling, investing? We're at your establishment here in Cartagena, Colombia. Did you start here in Cartagena, or did you start in another country? And what led you into investing and doing business
Well,
out of the United States?
from the beginning, I just was on vacation like most people.
Mm-hmm.
And going to other countries. And I've been a few countries, but the first one that piqued my interest in terms of business was when I was in the Dominican Republic.
Was that in Puerto Plata or was it in Punta Cana? Or
Well,
where?
business opportunities were in Sosúa.
Sosúa. Yeah, that's part of Puerto
Yeah,
Plata.
right next to Puerto Plata.
Yeah.
And I had visited in other places in Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, Santo Domingo, Santiago. I like the country, and what I saw was an opportunity for there were a great number of tourists coming in that needed housing,
Right.
and before
This
I
is when the Airbnb was already
yeah
in
yeah
place. Okay.
Airbnb was already in place,
Okay.
and I actually had 4 Airbnbs in Greenville,
Okay.
so I understood business. I understood how to make money on Airbnb.
Right.
And then that in combination with going to another country and also seeing the opportunity to make money. And at that point in Dominican Republic, everybody wasn't on Airbnb. You had a lot of rental properties,
Yes.
but you just pretty much go to the neighborhood, see what they have available,
Right.
other means of advertising.
Right.
So I was prepared for the Airbnb situation. And I ended up with 4 properties there, of which I was renting the properties and
And
like
Airbnb.
and Airbnb.
Right.
And I was doing good with it. And at the time I was doing good with that, this was before a pandemic hit. I was doing good with that. And then I visited Colombia maybe 5 years ago. I started coming to Colombia more than I was going to the Dominican Republic.
Why is that?
I would say that I liked it better. Initially I really enjoyed Dominican Republic, but I saw a change. I saw a change in the people who were coming. I saw a change in just the opportunity there being less opportunity.
More people were getting hip to it. More people were going there. More people were renting there. More people were buying there too.
A lot of people were doing that, but what happened also along with that, I don't know if you remember, but in Dominican Republic, you had some really bad publicity. I don't know, about 5 years ago.
Oh,
when
the
people-
alcohol,
yeah,
the dying.
and people were afraid to go.
Yes, I
That
remember.
was a direct effect on the traveling, Airbnbs, and everything else. And then in the city where I was doing business, they also had some things. The government was trying to change some of the rules and policies, and which affected Airbnb rental.
Yeah, they were shutting down
Shutting down
streets
clubs,
and
bars,
yeah.
like that.
They still haven't done it, but it was rumors. It was attempts,
Mhm.
but they didn't really get it done still. But I heard they're doing all kind of stuff on the beach now and
Yeah,
not
I
renewing
heard that
leases on the beach
too. Oh man.
and all kind of stuff.
Wow.
Okay, so you come to Cartagena,
Mhm.
start coming to. Is it just Cartagena or is it Colombia in its
Initially, I
total?
came to Medellin,
First time Medellin.
and
Okay.
actually, I came to Medellin and flew straight to Cartagena after that.
Okay.
I wanted to see 2 cities.
Yeah.
And I actually liked both.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
The difference was what I saw. The obvious difference in the 2 cities is you have the beach in Cartagena.
Yeah.
Medellin is a much bigger city with more things to do, but it doesn't have a beach.
It's more metropolitan, but it doesn't have that beach life.
Right. Then
Which is probably any city with a beach is going to be more of a tourist attraction.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
comparing Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro, it's like
Right. Exactly.
you're going to go. Well, as far as tourists are concerned, the city with the beach.
Mhm.
So my first time was here in Cartagena. Then I went to Medellin, maybe my third trip here.
Okay.
And I've known people who live in Medellin and then move to Cartagena, and
Right,
then live in
right.
Cartagena and then move back to Medellin. It's like
Right. Mhm.
you could get tired of both of them, but there's a reason to be in both places.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So when did you decide to go into business? Like, what drew you into business here? Did the business here start after the pandemic?
Well, initially, it was going to start before the pandemic.
Okay.
Before the pandemic, I was in position. I wanted to get what I saw was already having experience in the States with Airbnb and in Dominican Republic. What I saw was I began to see American tourists start to come little by little. And I also saw that the market here was better. You could actually get more money renting properties here than in Dominican Republic. So when I saw that, and I like coming here, and at that point before the pandemic, I said, okay, I'm going to get a house or an apartment for myself because I'm coming here a lot.
Right.
And while I'm gone, I'll try to rent it and hopefully make enough money to pay for it to cover my stay when I do come.
Right.
And it was very fortunate for me that I didn't get a place because what I know now, the deal I was going to make was a bad deal. And if I had gotten locked into that contract and started paying them before the pandemic, they would have tried to hold me over that during the entire time where I couldn't travel or rent a car.
Right.
So very fortunate for me, I didn't make that deal.
What? So that was the bad part about the deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bad part about the deal was that I was going to pay more than I realized now what I should have paid for the product. I didn't have enough experience to know exactly what I needed to.
Okay. So after the pandemic, then you decide to buy. Where do you buy? Why? Was things on sale? Like,
Well, when I first came back, I was on maybe the second week you could travel. And a place like Colombia does not have some of the same benefits that we have in the United States. There was no supplement of their money,
right.
or they didn't have a system in place to try to help businesses survive and wait it out.
It's no SBA loans. It's
forget all of that. Nothing. I'm talking about not even
no PPP or nothing.
Even the landlords were struggling and wanted you to pay or get out.
Okay.
And when I came back, I would say honestly, 50% of the businesses were closed. At least 50, because it's a tourist town.
Yeah.
At least 50% of the businesses that I thought at one point would have strong businesses could not survive.
Right.
Same thing happened with real estate. You had many apartments, houses that people were just looking to get out of because they had struggled for so long with no money. Everything was available. And at that point, you know, they say hindsight is 20/20. So yeah, I could have got a lot of stuff, but I didn't do that when I came back.
So the first thing you did was get an apartment.
Yeah.
Now, when did you decide to open up this place, this bar, restaurant? How did this happen?
Okay, well, like you said, the first thing I did was got an apartment. Got an apartment, set it up for Airbnb, started doing well, did so well that I couldn't stay when I would come because it was rented.
That's the problem you want to have.
That's the problem you want to have. So at that point, I started looking for other opportunities, other investments.
Right.
I ran across a small hotel in Crespo, which is near the airport.
Yeah, right near the airport.
And the people, the owners were a nice family who owned it. They had two sons that had been to school in the States, and they're back to running the business with their parents. They had a hotel that wasn't producing what they wanted it to. Now, when I say a hotel, now it's small. It was seven bedrooms.
Right.
You know, basically a big house.
Right.
Basically. And I saw opportunity with that. I saw potential. I made a deal with them, got their property remodeled, started having success with it. During that time period, I was also looking for a place for a bar restaurant.
Okay.
I talked to maybe 5 or 6 locations that were available to the owners.
These are like places that were bars that got shut down?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a couple of cases, there were bars that got shut down. And other opportunity. Yeah, well, yes, in just about every case. So there was a place that was a restaurant or a bar, and it was no longer open. And what I found out is it's extremely difficult to get a commercial property.
To purchase or rent?
To rent.
And why is that?
It's very difficult because most of the Colombians require you to have something that as an American, you're just not going to have access to, which is something, they call it insurance. But technically it's like a renter's insurance. But to qualify for it, you're going to have a property here that you own in Colombia.
That's your insurance.
And you're going to have to show that you have income in Colombia equal to enough money to pay your rent. They don't care about your income from the United States.
Right.
So how are you going to show income that you have in Colombia if you just get started in business? You can't.
Right.
So what you have to have is, if you can't do it, you're going to have to get a Colombian person who has those qualifications to be able to sign. And imagine how difficult that is.
You like your co-signer.
To get somebody who, not just anybody, somebody who has property and money.
And you need upwardly fluent Colombian.
To help you, decide to help you in the situation.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So for me, I caught a break. The people I got the hotel from in Crespo, they happened to have multiple properties in Colombia. And they were a good family, and once they saw the quality of the work that I was doing, the effort that I was going to put into the property and what I was able to do. They were impressed with what I did with the hotel.
Right.
So they gave me an opportunity. They had a location that uh, wasn't a bar. It was just a hair salon. It was pretty much, wasn't up to par for what I wanted,
Right.
but it had potential. I was going to have to do construction. I was going to have to put it together. But I didn't have a lot of choices, and I knew that's the business that I wanted to get into. So they agreed to make me a good lease on the property with the agreement that I would, and everything. They didn't have to co-sign because it's not required that you get the insurance. This is something that most of the owners are going to require first.
Because they're the
They
owners.
can
and
say, okay, you don't have to get it,
Okay.
but they're not going to do that. These people did it because I'd already had a track record in history of doing business with them.
Right.
So once that happened, I got an architect. I didn't try to come in and just do. I learned about that too. If you just try to do construction on your own, you're going to have to get subcontractors. You're going to have to manage the construction process, and I think it's much better to do quality work, hire a professional architect to come in and work with you to do a design. And he's responsible and he has a good reputation. And that's what happened. I found someone. We went to work on the bar. It took about 6 months to put it together. Here we are.
That's this bar here.
That's this bar here.
This was a beauty salon.
Yes.
Wow.
And when I say a beauty salon, what you see, the roof,
Yeah.
the flooring,
You did all of this.
all of this. Matter of
Yeah.
fact,
I know this is new.
This
I know
was
this.
parking spaces.
Oh,
This
wow.
wasn't even here. They had to build a patio out
Yeah.
and fix it so that it could extend the patio for the bar.
Yeah.
That wasn't the front door of the salon.
Uh-huh.
The columns you see on the inside,
Right.
that's where the front door was. We brought this out to create more space inside, brought the patio out to create more space outside.
So you and the architect did a hell of a job.
Appreciate it. I had an idea in the design, but I tell you, the guy had his excellent.
Yeah.
So he
Okay.
enhanced everything.
And so how long you been open here?
Been open about 6 months.
6 months. So how's business? Are you getting more support from tourists, from American tourists, or is it 50-50 between Colombians and tourists? What do you think makes this place different than the other places?
Well, business-wise, I'm getting probably, I would guess, maybe 70% American tourists, 30%.
Why you think that is?
I think because I'm American, and I think because of the design of the bar and the concept appeals more to what we're used to in the United States.
Right.
So I feel like those are the reasons. And to be very honest with you, one of the really good things that's happened is that I've met good people who give support, brothers like yourself, who recognize someone trying to do something, and you give your support when you come out and you support that business and acknowledge it. And without that, it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
A lot of travelers, catch all type of flack, but on average, a lot of travelers are positive people. And we recognize and realize that here's a brother with a business, and we need to support him to keep him going and lift him up. In the travel community, I think, because I look at comments and people like, oh, that's a brother's spot. I'm going over there to check him out. I'm going to show him some love and some support. So I think when we travel, it brings us together a little more.
I agree. I agree. And one of the things I've realized and that I was very pleased with is that a lot of people do support. There are guys who come here, whether they've seen something from a promotion at the beach, or whether they've seen a video you've done, or someone else's promotion, or bringing them through, and they come here, and they're coming to support, and they're looking for me, so I have to be available, and I have to make sure that I'm appreciative of these things, because without that, I won't have a business.
Right. That's why I wanted them to meet you. I wanted them to see, because before I just got a few clips, and I said, okay, that could be the introduction, but what I really wanted to do is them to hear your story, to inspire people who maybe have similar aspirations to actually be courageous enough to do something in another country, because you gotta be courageous when you spending money overseas. Investing.
I don't recommend it for everyone. Everybody's not cut out for the same thing.
No question.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way. That's just the truth.
No question.
And in a situation for me, with the experience that I've had owning several bars and restaurants, and I understand the clientele that's coming here. What I was saying is that I don't necessarily recommend this for everybody. You have to be dedicated to it. You have to, I think, need at least a background of someone with you who has a background in whatever business that you want to try. And it's not going to be easy. You got to be ready to stick it out.
My oldest brother told me a long time ago, I never forget it. He said the quickest way people lose their shirt in business is investing in something that they don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
So either you or your partner, if you have a partner, need to be a specialist in whatever you're about to invest your money. If I open a business overseas, it's going to be a barbershop. That's my business. That's the business I know front and back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not going overseas opening up a restaurant. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm opening up a barbershop if I open up something, because that's what I know. And so, yeah, you have the experience to understand this business. And there's more similarities than differences, even though it's overseas.
Well, yes, there are more similarities than differences, especially when I'm trying to cater to the American client, which I have a background. If I came in and tried to do the same things that they're already doing here, that wouldn't make a lot of sense to me, to compete with the Colombians from Colombian business. So I'm doing it a little different, and there are huge differences in terms of things you'll face, not just with obtaining a commercial place. When you start trying to hire, when you start training, the culture's different. They think different, and it's things that they just haven't been exposed to. So I'm trying to do the best I can to give them some good exposure to something as simple as customer service.
Yeah.
So I'm doing what I can with it, but as I said before, it's not easy.
But I see your staff, like I was here last night, moving. You know, like I wasn't paying attention, but I seen it going around in the back. I'm like, man, they are moving. They coming in and out, in and out. You know, like here, people who come here are like, no, accustomed to maybe you might wait 30 minutes to get your bill or to get out of a place. Like they are really, you might have to ask for the bill like 3-4 times here. You know what I mean? Like they might not ever come back to your table to ask if you need something else, or, you know, so definitely your staff is moving different. I see that immediately, because, you know, Americans very impatient. We used to complaining, you know.
Yeah.
We're very high strung in other countries, the way we behave because of being in America.
That's true. But, you know, I try to teach the staff also that Americans want what they want now. But if you communicate, if you're friendly, if you communicate with someone, say, okay, it's going to take a little bit, I'll get it to you. That communication, that friendly attitude will buy you a lot of time.
No question.
And the Americans are actually more forgiving than even the Colombians.
Right. At least we just need acknowledgement.
There you go.
If you know the key, a little acknowledgement goes a long way with us. Any other projects that you work with?
Yeah, actually, the same building that is attached to the bar is a hotel. And it's owned by the same people who gave me the opportunity with the bar. And they've given me another opportunity. The opportunity they've given me is to take over the hotel. Now, there's going to be some major construction I have to do. But we're already doing that, building an elevator in the hotel.
Wow.
We are building out some of the spaces that are unused, and there's going to be a 7-bedroom penthouse in the hotel.
Wow. How many rooms do you think it's going to be?
I totally think it's like 27 or 29 rooms finished. But it's going to be actually apartment. It's going to be actually a hotel and luxury apartment. So you'll have an option of getting a single room, a 2-bedroom apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment, a 7-bedroom penthouse. It has options.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a big deal, a big project. And once again, there's a thought process behind it. It's a business I'm already in. I'm already doing Airbnbs here in Colombia as well as in the United States.
Right.
So I understand the business, but these two businesses will help support each other.
Of course. You can be in a hotel, come downstairs, eat breakfast. Now you got to serve breakfast and stuff. You know what I mean?
Hey, you put me on the spot.
You're going to have to. You got a hotel, you're going to have to serve breakfast. Okay. You may have to be open pretty late.
What about continental breakfast? Can we do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying, you know, like, that's a win-win.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's more work, it's more staff, but it's a win-win, you know?
Yeah.
So tell us, This is still considered Boca Grande? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This is Boca Grande. We're on Carrera 3.
Carrera Dress number 3.
And we're only, what, 3 blocks away from the beach.
Yeah, and
So
you
you can
literally
actually
can walk to the beach. Yeah, and it's
excellent.
between Calle 5 and 5A,
Yeah,
or 4 and 5.
This is 5, and I'm not sure what number
I think
it
that's
is.
4.
But it's kind of at the intersection of Carrera 3 and Calle 6.
Yeah,
And I think it's a good location. It's not on the main street, but in terms of a bar and a hotel, I think it works just as good. Some people don't want to be right there with all of the foot traffic.
yeah. Carrera Dos is like super, and then you got the beach.
Right.
This is kind of perfect because I'm staying on this Carrera, and I like it.
You're close enough
Right.
to everything and just far enough away to be out of the hustle and bustle.
I definitely like it. Thank you, Ernest. I appreciate it. I wish you
appreciate
much
brother.
success.
Same to you. Same
And
to you. And whatever we got to do to get you moved here.
yeah. I'm
we try to
looking
do
at that what they call it, a nomad visa or something.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my thing together.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, let's get to the other good part, the service and the food. Now here's a lemon mint drink. It's a frosted lemon with mixed mint leaves. It's my favorite non-alcoholic drink at this bar. Delicious. I usually have 2. It's frosty and the minty makes it even more cool. And it's healthy. I also like to have the grilled chicken coconut rice with a salad. And it usually comes with a plantain or 2. It's just a nice healthy mix of protein, carbs, and you got a little bit of salad in there. You got a little bit of positivity in there. This is delicious. I usually have this more than anything when I'm in Colombia. I know it's not typical Cartagena Colombian food besides the plantain and the coconut rice, but this is what I have usually. And let me say, the prices are a lot more affordable than other places. And lastly, of course, you can't be in a sports bar without checking out the buffalo wings. The buffalo wings were fresh. They had a nice amount of sauce on it. And the seasoning they put on their fries is almost like a lemon pepper seasoning that they put on the fries. First time having it. Delicious. I would recommend coming here. Not only is the ambiance and the service great, but the most important thing is the food is great. International Zoe, Barber World TV, Vibe, Gastro Bar, Cartagena, Colombia.
Subscribe, snitches.